I'm going to talk to you about how 3D studios are going to test your 3D modeling skills before they hire you as a full-time hard surface 3D modeling artist. Okay, I'm only going to speak from my experience. I understand this probably varies between studios and between positions and shit like that, but I'm assuming that most serious studios are going to do things in a similar way, at least for similar positions. Okay, now if you want to learn about the background story behind how I got involved, how I know these things, how I ended up in this sort of position, then I can make another video talking about that. Just let me know in the comments. My story also involves Colin 3D, so shout out to him, okay? But here's what's gonna happen when you try to get hired at a studio, okay, as a hard surface, 3D hard surface modeling artist, all right? What's gonna happen is once you go through the interviews and they see your portfolio, they know who you are, they decide to proceed with you, then they're gonna give you an assignment. They're gonna tell you to model a certain object, or in my case, we have to do 3 objects, all right? You have to model those according to a certain set of rules. Then at the end of your week or 2 weeks or whatever the timeline is, you got to submit those models and they're going to have somebody inspect them. And that person inspecting them is going to look for certain things. There's going to be things that they want to see and there's going to be things that they definitely don't want to see. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about in this video. What you're supposed to do with your models, how you're supposed to produce models, what you have to keep in mind if you want to reach a professional 3D modeling skill level, all right, so you can qualify for these sort of positions. This is really important, and it's mostly just about topology, all right? So I'm going to use some examples of steering wheels produced by some of our members in the Digitally Enhanced Club. We just did a steering wheel challenge, and we got some pretty cool results here. I'm going to use some of those as examples to show you what I'm talking about. The first thing that I want to bring to your attention is no n-gons. Here's an example of a steering wheel, which has a whole bunch of n-gons on it, all right? If you look at the object, the model looks pretty good. If you don't look at the topology. But once you look at the topology, you can see a lot of n-gons. So n-gons, if you don't know, are faces which have more than 4 edges. So here's a quad, it's got 4 edges. Here's an n-gon, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 edges. That's no good. You can never use n-gons when you're qualifying for these sort of positions. It's just considered to be unprofessional. Now, I understand that when you're modeling some things, it doesn't really make sense to not use an n-gon. For example, when you add a primitive cylinder, and if you do your geometry correctly, you don't have to use quads on the top sometimes. I understand that it's not usually the most optimal way to do things, all right? This is just the way they do it. They want to see you do things without using any n-gons. This is just the way it is. I didn't make the fucking rules. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm just telling you how they're going to check your models, okay? So avoid using n-gons at all costs. Never use any n-gons. It has to be quads only. Sometimes you can use triangles, but only sometimes. Only if you've tried everything else. Make sure that you've tried everything else and it didn't work. Only then sometimes you can throw in a triangle here and there, because some things it's just impossible to create without using a triangle here and there. All right, so keep that in mind. No n-gons. Triangles are okay. You got to keep quads only. That's the first and most important things you always have to keep in mind if you're trying to make models with good topology. Okay. The next thing I want to talk to you about is something that I refer to as geometric consistency, which is just the consistency of your geometry. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a very important thing when you're modeling. All right. Here's an example of an object which has very consistent geometry. And what that means is if you look at the faces, they're all approximately the same size and the same shape. They're all little quads, they're all little squares, they're all little tiles, and they're flowing very nicely. They're organized in a very clean way. It's kind of like a grid pattern all over the entire model. Now, what you don't want to have are inconsistent faces, inconsistent geometry like you have on this part over here. Because these are still quads and they're still roughly the same size, okay? But if you look up here, you got these stretched out faces and they don't have the same shape as this little quad over here anymore. So this is inconsistency and this is not a good thing. You want to avoid having these type of things. I understand that when you look at this model, this doesn't necessarily cause any issues because there's no shading artifacts. It's not going to trouble you too much if you're trying to UV unwrap anything. It's not necessarily a problem. This is just what they want to see, all right? It's like if you're writing a book. It's like if they're writing the Constitution of America. You're not supposed to misspell things. You're not supposed to, you have to make sure to capitalize your letters. You got to use punctuation correctly. You're still going to be able to understand the message if some words are misspelled or if the letters are not capitalized correctly. It just looks fucking stupid and it looks unprofessional. And this is what they want to see. Are you able to do these things by following these sort of rules, all right? Are you able to do these things professionally? This is really important. So make sure to keep your geometry consistent so it looks something more like this, all right? This is pretty damn perfect topology right here. And I understand there's going to be somebody who's going to say, Aryan, this is not perfect topology. This is what Reddit likes to say. Aryan, this is not perfect topology because there are unnecessary edge loops there. There are too many edges. There are more edges than you need because they're thinking I can dissolve these edge loops here, for example, and then the model is still going to look the same. So these edge loops don't have to be there. So I have unnecessary geometry increasing my polygon count. It doesn't work that way. They don't care how many polygons you're using necessarily. They just want to see if you're able to create these things with good geometric consistency. That's what perfect topology means, all right? Forget about polygon counts. That's for video game engines and stuff like that. That's a different story. Here, they're just checking your topology skills, all right? And this is what perfect topology means. And another thing that I want to talk to you about are your face loops and your edge loops, okay? And I'm going to use another model as an example of this. If you look at this model right here, it does look like the reference, all right? The model looks pretty good. There aren't really any major shading artifacts or any major issues. However, if you look at the geometry, if you look at the topology on this model, you're gonna notice lots of problems with the face loops and with the edge loops, okay? What's gonna happen is this. The person's gonna approach your model like I am doing right now, and they're just gonna use Alt right click on some random edge loop like this. They're gonna select something and they're gonna see how it's flowing. If they see what I see here right now, it's going to be a problem. They're probably going to disqualify you immediately because they don't want to see your face loops shooting all over the place like this, all right? They don't want to see your face loops crossing each other and changing directions all over the place and just, you know, going all over the place. You don't want to have anything like this. You want your edge loops and face loops flowing nicely. I'm also going to show you an example of that as well, all right? But this is something that you have to avoid at all costs because it causes your geometry to be crammed up like this. It just means that you weren't able to control your geometry in the way that you're supposed to control it. Here's an example on this little logo over here where the face loops and the edge loops are behaving the way they should behave. So if I select an edge loop like this or a face loop with Alt right click, okay, it's very predictable. It's flowing the way it should. It's a loop, so it goes in a circle around here and it connects back. The edge loops here are very organized, so you should keep these sort of things in mind, all right? Now, I understand that for some of you guys, you don't really understand how to do this too well because this is pretty difficult stuff. This is pretty high-level stuff. If you want to go for a professional position, this is pretty difficult if you're a beginner, okay? What I'm going to advise to you is if your model looks something like this, where you got these sort of problems, don't worry about fixing that model. Just delete it and start over because this is going to be completely wrong. It's not really worth trying to fix it. You just have to start with a completely different workflow. And I talk about this workflow in a lot of my videos. You're going to see me use this a lot of times. Colin is great at teaching you this stuff, so go check out his channel as well. But also let me know if you want me to make some more videos where I'm going to teach you guys how you can make objects with the right type of topology so you can qualify as a professional 3D modeling artist, okay? And also check out our Blender school because we're going to teach you everything, the whole package, how to build a good portfolio, how to sharpen your skills, reach a professional level of topology and modeling and everything, how to network with people in the industry, how to apply for jobs correctly. We're going to teach you everything that you need to know if you want to become a professional 3D artist. So check it out. There's a link below. Let me know what you want to see next. Subscribe to the channel if you didn't already. I'll see you in the next one.